Hi everybody, welcome back, welcome back. I hope you're building some pretty cool dashboard apps with Dashplotly. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to combine Google BigQuery with Dashplotly. So we're going to build this dashboard app that is not too complex, but it has an input that is a tree diameter, and then it has a date that we can change, and based on this input, after we submit the button, it's going to change the bar graphs. It's going to show you an average of the tree diameters of New York City trees. So it's not very complex, but what's special about this app is that it pulls information query from Google BigQuery. So it's using SQL and string formatting to query from Google Cloud. So we'll see how to do this together today. We are going to use a few links that are going to be under the video. So make sure to go under the video and download these Python files if you're interested in looking them over. This is a Python file of the app that I just created, which is going to be this one right here. You can download this, or you can go back if you want to see it as a Jupyter file. It's this. If you want to see it as a Jupyter Lab dash file, Jupyter Lab Jupyter dash, then we're talking about these files right here. Okay, so just make sure to download them from this GitHub. Also, I'm going to put this under the video. It's an explanation of that belongs to this guy on this website of how to learn a little bit of SQL very quickly for BigQuery. And the most important thing is this presentation created by Hattie B and slightly altered by me to talk about Google BigQuery. So I'm going to show you how to, in the first part of this presentation tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do Google BigQuery, how to create an account and to start creating your own table on Google Cloud. And then the second part, I'm going to show you how to combine it with Dash to create your dashboard app with Dashplotly. Obviously, you can jump to any section of the video that you'd like. Just under the video, click on the section that you would like to jump to. All right, so let's get started. Exciting, exciting. Let's start with this. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is these things. We're going to learn how to sign up for Google Cloud account. We're going to enable the BigQuery API. We're going to save our credentials so we can put it in the dashboard app. And then we're going to access, not the Stack Overflow data set. I forgot to change this. We're going to access tree census data set. And we're going to create a sample of this table in BigQuery. All right, and then the second part, we'll create the dashboard app. Okay, so let's go to this slide right now. Assuming you don't have Google Cloud, but you have a Google account, click on this link to get started. So I clicked on this link, and this will open this right here, right? And then click on Get Started. And after you click on Get Started, you will see it will take us to this third slide. Here we will have to, agree to terms of service, put your country, and so on and so on. So we're going to put United States as my country, where I live. I'm going to agree to the terms, and I'm going to click on Continue. So after you do that, it's going to take you to add payment details. It's not going to charge you anything, but it's going to need your card in case in the future you would like to start paying for this. But you get $300 free credit at the beginning. So make sure to put all your Visa information, and then click on Start My Free Trial. All right? I click on that. Obviously, this works because I'm already logged into a Google account, my Google account. So make sure you're logged in. All right, so now this takes us to this page. And in this page, the first thing we want to do is to look at the project. So this automatically created my first project. This is a default project that you get, and this is the ID. We're going to use this ID later, so make sure to make note of it, okay? So we have our first project called My First Project. All right, now we can go down. The next one, click on the left-hand side burger icon, and then click on the API services. So we're going to go to API services right here. Click on that. And here we are going to go to Enable API and Services. Let's go to slide 7, Enable API Services, slide 8. And here we're going to look for the BigQuery API. That's what we want to enable. So we're going to go BigQuery. Separate it. Got it. BigQuery API, click on this. And the next thing you want to do, this will probably be enabled for you as well. Then all you have to do is click on Manage. Right? So now we're accessing the BigQuery API, which is a built-in API inside Google. Now we clicked on Manage, and now we have this. So now we have to select Create Credentials. We're going to select Create Credentials right here because this will allow us to tie BigQuery API into our dashboard app with Plotly. So create credentials. And here you're going to choose, what does it say? Here you're going to choose BigQuery API, and no, I'm not using them. BigQuery API. And here, no, I'm not using the API or API engine, at least not for our tutorial purposes. And then we click, what credentials do I need? Continue. And here, as you can see in the presentation, slide 12, you can call this account any account name you want. You want to make sure that the role is going to be BigQuery admin, and then just click on the radio item JSON down here. So let's call this service account my dash query. Role is admin at BigQuery admin right here. And this is clicked on JSON. Good. So we're going to click continue. All right, look at this. It says service account my dash created, and it actually downloaded this JSON file into my downloads folder in the computer. Now this JSON file is very important. These are the credentials, and this is highly confidential, so nobody should see it. So what you want to do is copy this folder. Let's open the folder here. And what you want to do is copy this into the assets folder of where your Python file is. So let me show you on GitHub. If my code is here, the -bigquery.py code where my dashboard app is going to be created, I have an assets folder. Inside the assets folder, put the JSON file. Okay, so it's on my computer. It's going to be here. Connect to that query. This is my Python file. I'm going to put assets folder, and I'm going to put it right here. Paste. Okay, so this is my JSON file. This has all my credentials. We're going to use that in a few minutes. All right, so the next step, now that we save the file, this is just a reminder, slide 13, to look at your project ID. This is your project, and this is your project ID. We're going to use it later inside the code in Dash. We'll see it later. All right. Now we're going to learn how to query BigQuery data, and specifically the NYC tree data set within the Google Cloud. So let's go into that data set. You'll go into BigQuery, right? Big data, BigQuery, right under this main section. So we'll go here, and then you have to scroll down a little bit up until all the way down to big data, right here. And then we'll go into BigQuery, social work workspace, social work, SQL workplace. And then here, we'll go to the next. And here, oops. Slide 16, you want to add the data. We're going to add a data set to our BigQuery data. We're going to add BigQuery public data. So let's go to, this is our default project. Is it Fast Web? Yep, this is our default project, but we want to add a data set that's already built in, which is the BigQuery. So we'll go add data, explore public data sets. And here we're going to put the tree census. What did I say on the slide 17? We'll put view, click on the button, add data. We'll search for NYC trees. NYC trees. Enter. This is one of the data sets inside BigQuery. public data. And now you can see, well, we click on View Dataset. And now you can see that, come on, that we have down here, this was created. It showed us the BigQuery public data. Also, this New York tree data set is right here. If you want to go to it, you just open this, and you'll scroll all the way down to NYC. New York City, more results. And then you'll see New York City, New York trees. This is the data set, and Tree Census 2015 is a data table we are going to play around with. All right, let's go back to the presentation. We did this, we did slide 17, slide 18. We have our BigQuery, perfect. Slide 19. So here, to open the data set we want to look at, we can just double click on it. So go into, there's 4 tables inside this data set. We're going to click on Tree Census 2015 table. And here it opened up this tab. And in this tab, you can see the schema of each column and what the column of type is, what the value type is. You can see details, and you can see a preview, which I really like, of the data table, right? That belongs to Tree Census 2015 inside the New York trees data set. Okay. Now, this table has many, many trees. I can't remember how many, but probably thousands of rows. So I don't know how big the data is, but it's pretty big. Let's say we want to limit the size of the data because we don't want to query 100 gigabytes for every query. We just want to query a few megabytes. To do that, you can create your own data set in your own project, right? You can create your data set right here in your own project, right here. And you create your own table inside that project. So to do that, click on your newly created pin project and click on Dataset. You click on this, and then we're going to click Create Dataset, right? Click on that. And now we're creating our own dataset and our own table that's going to be a sample of the big tree census data. You can call it whatever you want. Let's call it My Tree Sample. My tree sample. Default location, I'm going to put the US, never, Google Managed Key, and then create dataset. So now you see under here, go to dataset, or it's created, it's right here. So now we have the My Tree sample dataset that's empty, we have nothing in it, right? Not yet. Now we're going to compose a new query. So we are inside our My Tree sample. We're going to compose a new query to query information from the main data set, from the main tree census, and just create a sample table. So we'll go here, and we'll copy paste this code. Remember, all this is under the video link, so you can go into this, okay? Now what I'm doing here, I'm going to copy paste this here. This is inside the unsaved 2. It's inside My Tree Sample Dataset. It's a new query. And as you can see, I'm creating a new table that's going to be underneath my project name. Right here, project ID is going to be under my tree sample. It's going to be under this dataset. And the table is going to be called sample. The new table is going to be called sample. And it's going to have a description. And what I'm doing, I'm using SQL here that you can learn more about. This, I'm taking the created at column, I'm taking the borrow column, I'm taking the tree diameter column, and I'm going to call it diameter, and species, and call it type, from this. Remember, this is the BigQuery API. This is right in here, inside the New York City trees and tree census 2015 table. We're going to take all the information from here, but we're only going to take where the column created at is before this 2016 May 1st. So it's a smaller, it's fewer rows. It's a smaller set of the main data table, right? Okay, we'll go here, and now you just click on, one second. What I forgot to do, make sure that this is copy pasted from the last project that I created when I was practicing this. So make sure to take this and change this so it's your project ID. My new project ID is this. So we'll copy this, cancel, and just put that in here. This is the new project ID, fast web, and then my tree sample, and then my table that I'm creating. So now you'll see that it's gonna query 25 megabytes when it's run. So it tells you the size of the query that you're going to do. Click on run. And now you'll see if we'll go to slide 24. 24 gives you a bit more information. You click on run, and then to view your sample data. So now you can see that the sample data table was created. You can click on it. It'll open another tab, and you'll see schema, details. You see we only brought in 4 columns, details, and preview. So you can see that we have these 4 columns, and we can see that they're only from 2016, April 30th or older, because we said here created before 2016, right? And now this query will not work again because it says this table already exists. So I can't create the same table again. Now that I have my table, we're happy. The table exists. It's in here. We can preview it. And now we're going to go into the second part of the presentation of the tutorial, so you can see how to query from this table, from this sample table that we built on our BigQuery Google Cloud. Okay, so let's move to the Jupyter file to combine the BigQuery into our dashboard. Just a quick note, if you are liking this tutorial so far, if it's benefiting you, hit the subscribe button, and if you could support my work, it would mean a lot to me. Feel free to click on the join button under the YouTube video or the Patreon link above to go and check out the type of perks and tips that I give you and my members that support me. So thank you. All right, so we're going to use the Jupyter BigQuery Jupyter file, and here we're importing all the libraries. What you will need to do is pip install dash if you don't have dash and plotly and pandas, but you also have to pip install Google dash authenticate or auth, and pip install pandas dash g Google BigQuery, right? GBQ. So make sure to install these in your environment for this dashboard to work. And then you're going to go into credentials. Credentials equals blah blah blah, and this is where you put the JSON file. You see here, this is a JSON file. Actually, let me change that because my JSON file is different right now. So I'm going to go into my assets folder. I just downloaded this JSON file with this new Google Cloud. So I'm going to rename it like this. And as you can see, this is inside my assets folder, inside BigQuery folder, and so on and so on. So I'm just going to change this and put this like that. And this is my new JSON file inside my assets folder that is in the same folder where my BigQuery.py exists, right? So right there. And then the project ID. The project ID, this was my last project in a different example. So I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to copy paste my new project ID, which is this. That's the only thing you need to do to change things, right? Because the project ID is going to go down here below in the DF right here, the project ID. Good. So we have our credentials and we have our project ID. And then we're going to start our app. And then obviously we are doing our layout here, right? This is where we do our layout. And in our layout, we're going to say we're going to have the title. Then we're going to have an empty div where we're going to put the graph inside this div. And then we're going to have an input. And under the input field, we'll have a date picker. And now under the date picker, we'll have a button. Okay? And here's the callback to run everything. So let me just activate this. Click on the external link. And now you can see that the callback is being activated automatically. And this is the first chart that we get. So how do we get this? This we get through the callback. So let's go to the code again, and we'll see what we're doing here. So in the callback, I'm saying the input is going to be the end clicks of the button. And the state is going to be these three things. The input value, right here, which is the number. And it's going to be the start date and the end date of the date picker, this and this. Now these are just state. So these are not going to trigger the callback. I can change the number here and I can change the date here, and it's not going to trigger or update anything until I click on the button, which is an input. Only the input triggers the callback. And then I'm going to define our function, create graph. These are the 4 arguments because I have 4 input and 3 states. I'm going to print this out just so I can see what I'm actually choosing, what I'm printing. And then here is our code. So this is our SQL BigQuery, which is exactly what we did. This is exactly, well, it's not exactly, but it's similar to this right here. Cancel. Where's the BigQuery? Where is our query? It's exactly what we had. Well, actually, we don't have it here. Let me show you. What you want to do is, let's go into the presentation. The last slide is this. So we're going to copy this. Okay, this is an example of the query in SQL. Go into your sample table, and you're inside here, and just click Compose New Query. All right, and paste it in here. And here you see that this query will take about 25 megabytes, and you can prove that this query works, right? So if you run it, you'll see that it queries a data table, and this comes up with the results, right? So that's my suggestion, that create your query in just SQL on BigQuery and try it on Google Cloud first. And once this works, then you can use this inside the callback right here, right? Now you can use it in here. So instead of, as you can see, instead of adding the end date, instead of saying, because this is going to be an interactive dashboard, so instead of saying what the end date is going to be and what the start date, instead of defining it and defining the tree diameter, we know that this already works on the Google query. We know that this works, but we're going to make this dashboard interactive. So instead of putting the dates here, we're going to change these 3 lines of code. We're going to put this in there. We're going to put the end date argument right here. We're going to put the start date from the date picker, and we're going to put the tree diameter, which is the input, which is this. Okay, so this is the only thing we're doing is we're just changing the information so it pulls from the input and the date picker callback inside the SQL, and we're doing this with string formatting. So we're formatting the SQL code, right? So once we have this information, you can actually filter the data. You create the database. You're saying df equals pd read gbq. This is the database right here. This is your project ID. This is the new one that we just put there. And then the dialect is standard. Credentials is credentials. And then we're printing the length of the df just to see how long it is. You don't have to do this. And then we're going to, I'm grouping by because I want to see the average diameter per borough. And then I'm just making this the data set cleaner, and then I'm printing to see what's going to print out right here. And then this I'm actually going to put on a Plotly Express bar chart, the x axis and the y axis, right? So if I run this, you'll see that now if I change this, right now this is 35 inches diameter. Let's change this to 20, anything above 20, or maybe anything above 35, from March 1st to, let's say, July 31st. Submit. And now you'll see that this is now updating. Now this is 41, an average of 41 inches diameter, because I only took trees over 35 inches. So you see that this works, but keep 2 things in mind, 2 very important things. One is that every time you hit the submit button, you're actually querying from BigQuery. So you're actually using 25 megabytes of value, right? I think you have like up to you have a lot of information that you can query, but at some point this is going to start costing you money. So just take that into account. The second thing is, like I said, try to test your code on your SQL on BigQuery before you test it here on the dashboard app. So take this information like you have here and put it inside a query here, inside the sample, compose new query, and you just put it in there and try to run it. If it makes a mistake, then it's a mistake, or if if the dates don't work, then you know what to do. Once you have this, then just copy paste it into your code, and instead of the dates, you can just put the argument that belongs. You'll take the dates from the date picker. You'll take these two dates that the user uses in the date picker to populate this information. Okay? So that's about it. I hope this was clear. I hope this was helpful. Don't forget to click on this link below the video that can teach you a little bit about BigQuery SQL. If you like this video, if it benefited you, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I would really appreciate it if you can check out my Patreon and support my work if this was helpful for you and this allowed you to create more beautiful dashboards. Always remember, we're better together, so help each other out, and never give up. Keep practicing. I hope you have a good week. Bye-bye.